Well, good morning, folks. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for allowing me into your homes this morning. I'm talking this morning about invasive species that are attacking our woods land, our forests, and particularly a situation that's rather threatening and not good, to say the least, is the fate of the hemlock forest in the Appalachian Mountains. And here are some details. And according to the Forest Service that monitors situations like this, I'm quoting, "While we cannot save every hemlock in our forests, we can prevent the species from going extinct." In the years following the introduction of the hemlock woolly adelgid, a sap-sucking insect native to Asia, hemlocks have steadily declined across their native range, leaving behind the skeletal remnants of what was once a prominent overstory tree dominating the forests of the Appalachian Mountains. The question on many minds is whether hope exists for our, as they call them, redwoods of the East, or if they've reached a tipping point, leaving them unable to rebound. The native hemlock range extends from Canada into the southern Appalachian Mountains, spreading westward into parts of Minnesota and descending eastward into the foothills. Two species of hemlock occur in North Carolina, the eastern hemlock and the Carolina hemlock. Eastern hemlocks are long-lived, overstory trees, towering heights up to 100 feet, with the oldest known trees exceeding 800 years old. In the Piedmont, more than 200 miles east of the edge of their natural range, a relic population of eastern hemlocks exists in Cary, North Carolina, on a series of north-facing bluffs along Swift Creek. Sustained by a cooler, moist microclimate than the surrounding area, these trees have been able to persist long after the last ice age or glacial maximum. Carolina hemlock is a southern Appalachian endemic, restricted to elevations between 2,100 and 4,000 feet along the rocky slopes and ridges of the Blue Ridge Mountains. North Carolina is home to around 80% of the naturally occurring Carolina hemlock, with smaller populations in Virginia and Georgia. They are less common than the eastern hemlock. With the onset of this invasion, combined with other environmental stresses, their dwindling numbers are a cause for concern, prompting the species to be under review for listing under the Endangered Species Act. If you're wondering what all the fuss is about, dead hemlocks scattered across western North Carolina landscape are not only an eyesore, but they play an important ecological role in the health of our forests in the Appalachian Mountains. If you've ever hiked in the mountains during the summer, you probably noticed the cool reprieve once under the canopy of a hemlock forest. In the southern Appalachians, hemlocks primarily grow near streams. The shaded cove environment they create maintains the cool temperatures conducive to the survival of our native brook trout and several species of salamanders, including the eastern hellbender, and that's a type of salamander. Hemlock forests provide critical stopover sites during migration for several neotropical bird species such as the black-polled warbler, and they provide habitat for over 90 species of bird, including black-burnian warbler, blue-headed vireo, black-throated green warbler, and northern saw-whet owl. Young hemlocks in the understudy provide thermal cover and a vital food source for various game species, including ruffed grouse, wild turkey, white-tailed deer, and the eastern cottontail rabbit during our cold winter months. American black bears commonly use hemlock tree cavities for denning. The microclimate created by hemlocks also supports a myriad of plants, some of which are listed as threatened or endangered at the state or federal level, like the pirate bush, a hemiparasitic shrub found somewhere else in the world, but in a small region of the southern Appalachians. Hemlocks are an essential component of the forest of the Appalachian Mountains. So we wonder how these invasive species got here to cause such destruction and concern. And this is one way it happened. This invasive species is native to Asia and was introduced to the Pacific Northwest in the 1920s, where it feeds on western hemlock. An adapted suite of natural predators has prevented the species from becoming a pest in both regions. Unfortunately, hemlocks in the east were not as lucky. Since its introduction in 1951 near Richmond, Virginia, through infected hemlocks imported from Japan, this invasive species has continued to spread across much of the native hemlock range from wind or hitchhiking on birds and other wildlife. This species was first discovered in North Carolina in 1995, mainly in Stokes and Surry counties. Aldegids, that's another invasive species, are aphid-like insects that feed exclusively on conifers, and the aldeguid settles at the base of hemlock needles on branch tips and uses their pierce-sucking mouthparts to deplete their host of stored nutrients. In their native range, the aldegids is subjected to heavy predation, potentially leading to their complex life cycle having two overlapping generations a year. The spring generation, or progredian, is active from early spring through midsummer. The second, known as the cisterns generation, is the overwintering generation, present from summer to early spring of the following year. To further complicate things, only females exist in eastern North Carolina, where and are parthenogenic, meaning they reproduce asexually. In Asia, this male invasive species feed on tiger-tailed spruce, and fortunately, North Carolina's native red spruce does not seem to support their development, leading to an abbreviated lifestyle. With no natural predators to keep their populations in check and the ability to reproduce without a mate, this species can rapidly multiply and overwhelm trees, starving them of vital nutrients. Heavy infestations cause premature needle drop and branch dieback, beginning at the lower branches and progressing to the crown. If left untreated, trees can die in as little as 4 years, but typically die within 10 years following an initial infestation. Environmental stress, such as heat and drought, can further exacerbate their decline. Now, we ask ourselves, with all of this threatening oppression, you might say, is there hope for North Carolina's redwoods in the east? In the mid-1900s, Fraser fir was seemingly met with a similar fate by the invasive balsam woolly aldeguid. However, it still prevails today in our red spruce Fraser fir forests. Fortunately, with continued research leading to more advanced integrated pest management programs, there is hope, and many researchers and forest managers remain optimistic about the future of hemlocks and their recovery to our forests. So this situation has been identified, it's being monitored, and there is hope. But sadly, it will never be like it once was in all of its grandeur, and when the hemlock forests were not challenged by these invasive species. Here we are on the 16th day of April, and already in our community, in our area, a lot of planting has gone on with our farmers. Tobacco is being transplanted. Some of that started last week even, and lots of corn has been planted. A few farmers are moving into planting peanuts and cotton, and things are really underway. And we reach out to our farmers and wish them the best, and we hope and pray for good seasons, that there'll be a good crop. Back to the subject of invasive species, I'd like to continue. Non-native invasive species are a hot topic these days, as you can see, and rightfully so, as they're considered one of the greatest threats to biodiversity. News headlines are filled with stories of emerald ash borer causing widespread decline of ash trees, zebra mussels clogging waterways, Bradford pear and tree of heaven choking out forests, and feral hogs plowing through an area consuming anything in their path. Over the past centuries, globalization has led to the intentional and unintentional introduction of more than 37,000 species beyond their natural ranges. Over time, more than 3,500 species have been introduced and classified as invasive, wreaking havoc on their new environments by outcompeting native wildlife, disrupting ecosystems, and causing significant economic damage. North Carolina alone spends an average of $1.6 billion annually on invasive species removal. This goes back to a record documented in 2020. And this does not account for the cost of research, the financial burden for private landowners, the loss of biodiversity, and aesthetic decline of natural areas. So, with that in mind, what is before us with the present non-invasive, the present invasive species, as well as some that are yet to come? For instance, we have what's known as an Asian longhorn beetle. And the Asian longhorn beetle is no new threat. Although it remains undetected in the state, a disjunct population was discovered outside of Charleston, South Carolina in 2020, indicating that it's something North Carolina should remain mindful of. And this Asian longhorn beetle is native to China and Korea and feeds on roughly 29 hardwood species, with maple being the preferred host. It was first discovered in Brooklyn, New York in 1996 and has since been found in other parts of the Northeast, killing valuable shade trees and forest trees of economic value such as sugar maple. Females chew dime-sized notches in the bark of host trees to lay their eggs. And that is the Asian longhorn beetle. Once an individual tree is infested, there is no remedy, although eradication of the Asian longhorn beetle is possible with early detection and rapid response. Infested and high-risk trees are removed and destroyed by chipping, a method that has been developed, which has proven successful in several locations in the Northeast. Students at North Carolina State University are actively investigating eradication methods in South Carolina tailored for southeastern bottomland hardwood forests, as the distinct climatic conditions pose a novel set of challenges for professionals when compared to the hardwood forests of the Northeast. So that's just one invasive species that is causing concern and problems. Another one is the elm zigzag sawfly, and that too is a native to Japan and China, and it infests elm trees, leaving behind zigzag patterns in the leaves as the larvae feed on the edge of the leaf toward the mid-vein. While established in Europe since 2003, the exact origin of the elm zigzag sawfly population present in North America remains unclear. Since its initial detection in Canada in 2020, the sawfly has spread to several states in the Northeast. The first confirmed sighting of the elm zigzag sawfly in North Carolina was in August 2022 near the border of Stokes and Surry counties, marking the southernmost extent of the elm zigzag sawfly spread. Much like the Asian longhorn beetle, their spread has been spotted, suggesting that humans may be aiding in their extended dispersal. The elm zigzag sawfly larvae are capable of significant defoliation, sometimes consuming more than 90% of leaves in heavily invested trees. They are strong flyers who are known to travel up to 56 miles annually, reproduce asexually, and have multiple generations each year. And so we have just one situation after another, and I think a lot of this can be, I'm going to use the word blamed on or credited to globalization. And as people travel from one country to another, as mechanization has occurred and airplanes, vehicles go from one area to another, oftentimes these invasive species are transported unintentionally and unknown. In western North Carolina, the primary threat to American beech trees has been the beech bark disease. And this is like a virus. And this disease was first detected in Lake County, Ohio in 2012. And much remains unknown about this newly identified disease, including its origin, mode of transmission, and potential management options. So that's just one more. So to sum up this, if you suspect any activity from the invasive species mentioned this morning in this report on your property, the North Carolina Forest Service encourages you to report your observations by contacting your local county ranger's office. That's all the time I have today. I've enjoyed being with you. Once more, we are well into the planting season, and we applaud our farmers for their hard work and their expertise. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.